May 19th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, bringing you the day's latest news, including a fatal wrong-way crash on Route 8 and much more. Today is also Front Page Thursday, so we'll be taking a look at the latest issues of our HAN papers this week. Rob Adams will have a look at the forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and Donald Eng will take a look back on this day in history. But first, 2 people were killed early Thursday morning after a wrong-way driver collided head-on with another vehicle on Route 8 in Shelton. Killed in the crash were Fernando Moreno Rivas, 30 years old, of Main Street in Stratford, and 29-year-old Kelly Wooten of Balance Rock Road in Seymour. An investigation of the crash closed southbound Route 8 at exit 15 in Derby just before the Commodore Isaac Hull Bridge for about 6 hours. The highway reopened at 7 this morning. State police said Moreno Rivas was traveling in the southbound right lane just before exit 13 shortly after 1 a.m. Thursday. Wooten was traveling northbound in the southbound lane and collided with Moreno Rivas's 2015 Chevy Tahoe. Both Moreno Rivas and Wooten sustained serious bodily injuries and were pronounced dead at the scene. The 2 deaths on Thursday bring to 5 the number of people killed in Shelton traffic accidents this month alone. And in an update on a story we brought you yesterday, Metro North will operate on a Saturday schedule until further notice as crews work to repair damage caused by a fire Tuesday evening in New York City. Metro North spokesman Aaron Donovan said crews are working around the clock to make temporary repairs to the Park Avenue viaduct in Manhattan damaged by a 4-alarm fire on Tuesday. Trains operated on a Saturday schedule Wednesday. Commuters reported crowded trains and delays after the railroad reduced the number of trains running because the damage had rendered 2 of the 4 trains unusable. Delays of more than an hour to an hour and a half were being reported Wednesday afternoon during what were normally off-peak hours. Service updates are being posted at mta.info. Repairs and testing are expected to take 24 to 48 hours. And in other news, an off-duty Shelton police officer chased down a suspect accused of stealing an elderly woman's purse and fleeing into a nearby wooded area. Officer Nicholas Artizone was pulling into the parking lot at Walmart on Bridgeport Avenue when he noticed a white male, later identified as 26-year-old Shane Krall of Trumbull, running across the parking lot with a purse in his hand and an elderly woman pursuing him. According to a statement from Detective Richard Bango of Shelton Police, Krall got into a black SUV and Officer Artizone followed him until he exited the vehicle and fled on foot. Officer Artizone then ran after Krall and located him in the woods. Krall was detained and later placed under arrest. During the investigation, officers also located heroin in Krall's possession. Officers then spoke with the 7-year-old victim, who said she was parking her vehicle, and when she exited, she noticed Krall was hunched down behind her car. The victim added that Krall then lunged at her and stole her purse before running away. The victim did not claim to have suffered any injuries. And in Stratford, the owners of a Kenyon Street home have a neighbor to thank for noticing a fire on Wednesday afternoon caused by a sanding machine. Fire Marshal Brian Lampart said the residents at 135 Kenyon Street had rented a sanding machine to sand the floors on the first floor of their home. They had left for an appointment but left the machine plugged in and it caught fire. Lampart said a neighbor driving by noticed smoke coming out of the windows and mostly extinguished the fire with a garden hose. Stratford firefighters responded to the scene around 4:45. According to Lampart, they were lucky that the neighbor was going by. There were no injuries and 2 dogs were rescued from inside the home. The home did sustain smoke and water damage. And Dr. William Pettit, who survived a home invasion that claimed the lives of his wife and 2 daughters, is the Connecticut Republican Party's nominee for a state legislative seat. The Hartford Courant reports that Pettit has been nominated for the 22nd House District, which includes Plainville and New Britain. Pettit says he'll issue a statement next week. The district's currently represented by Democrat Elizabeth Bocus. Pettit was severely beaten in a 2007 home invasion in Cheshire. Joshua Komisarjuski and Stephen Hayes were convicted of murdering his wife, Jennifer Hawk Pettit, and leaving his daughters, 11-year-old Michaela and 17-year-old Haley, to die in a fire. Komisarjuski and Hayes are both appealing their convictions. Pettit has since remarried and has a young son. In Easton, 3 vehicles were broken into on Blanchard Road and various items were stolen May 18th between 12:30 and 6 a.m. according to the Easton Police Department. A stolen credit card was used at 2 different locations in Bridgeport, and as you can see, video surveillance of the suspect and the vehicle were obtained by police. The vehicle appears to be a 2000 to 2004 white or gray Jeep Cherokee with the front plate missing. The suspect is a black male with a slight build, approximately 5'11" tall, wearing white shoes, dark colored clothes, and a white and black striped t-shirt. The driver never exits the vehicle and is unknown. If anyone has seen the vehicle or has additional information, they can contact Easton Police at 203-268-4111. And firefighters rescued a dog after she collapsed on a trail at Sleeping Giant State Park in Hamden on Wednesday night, according to NBC Connecticut. A man called for help at 7:23 in the evening and said Maria, his 7-year-old German Shepherd mix, collapsed while they were hiking and he could not get her off the trail alone. Firefighters and the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection responded and found the exhausted dog around a third of a mile on the yellow trail. Using a portable stretcher, they carried Maria to a DEP ATV and got her out of the woods. Police said no one was injured during that rescue. The Hamden Fire Department has responded to 10 rescues at Sleeping Giant since the beginning of the year. But we're going to switch gears now and throw it over to Rob Adams for a look at your forecast.
All right, Kate, good morning, everyone. Chance of showers mainly later this afternoon. Partly sunny and a high near 67 otherwise, with the wind out of the west at 6, becoming south in the afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming clear and a low around 49. To Friday, sunny and a high near 73. Friday night, partly cloudy, low 51. To Saturday, chance of rain mainly afternoon. It's a 40% chance of rain and a cloudy day with a high near 70. Saturday night, more rain, cloudy, low 50. To Sunday, cloudy and 67. We get back to the work week with a chance of showers Monday and a mostly cloudy day with a high near 69. Tuesday, more showers, cloudy, 68. Wednesday, partly sunny and a high near 72 degrees. Right now around the region, New Canaan, you have 64. Ridgefield, you have 65. And here in Shelton, we have 65 degrees, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, Donald Dang takes a look back on this day in history. Rob has a Nutmeg Sports update, and we have some more news coming up after this.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances, where community comes first, a place where there's more than one kind of interest, where automation will never replace consideration, where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with a Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online, abetterviewcleaning.com.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Dang, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. we are the place for all things Connecticut sports. So come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday, right here on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network, and it's time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Ang. Check it out.
You've heard the song hundreds of times, but never quite like this. First, though, to 1499, 13-year-old Catherine of Aragon married to 12-year-old Arthur, the Prince of Wales. Arthur would die 5 months later, and in 1509, Catherine married Arthur's younger brother, the recently seceded Henry VIII. By 1525, Henry had grown frustrated that Catherine had only managed to bear him a daughter, and he also had become infatuated with Anne Boleyn and began seeking to have their 16-year marriage annulled. That set in motion the chain of events that led directly to the split of the Church of England from the Roman Catholic Church and about 2 centuries of religious warfare in Europe. Also on this day in 1536, Anne Boleyn, the second wife of Henry VIII, beheaded for adultery, treason, incest, and most importantly, not bearing Henry any sons. To 1848, Mexico ratifies the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, ending the Mexican-American War and ceding California, Nevada, Utah, and parts of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Wyoming to the United States for the princely sum of $15 million. 1963, the New York Post Sunday magazine publishes Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail. The letter defends the strategy of nonviolent resistance to racism, saying that people have a moral responsibility to break unjust laws and take direct action rather than potentially waiting forever for justice to come through legislation or the courts. Responding to being referred to as an outsider, King writes, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And finally now we go to 1962, a 45th birthday for the ages.
Mr. President, for all the things you've done, the battles that you've won, the way you deal with U.S. Steel and our problems by the ton, we thank you so much. Everybody, happy birthday!
That, of course, was Marilyn Monroe, famously serenading President John F. Kennedy at his birthday celebration at Madison Square Garden. That is your look back in history, and I'm Donald Ang.
Thanks, as always, to Donald Ang. Now it's time to throw things back over to Rob Adams for a Nutmeg Sports Update.
All right, Kate, we have a lot to get to, so let's dive in. We begin in baseball with a wild winner-take-all game at Danbury yesterday as the Hatters collided with the Staples Wreckers. We start by taking a look at the highlights. So Brendan Backman goes 6+, scattering 2 hits and striking out 8 before running into trouble in the seventh. The Hatters survived with a 3-1 victory. Now the Hatters are in the FCAC playoffs, with the Wreckers not being in the FCAC playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade. But the Hatters are now the number 8 seed. Let's check the highlights. We'll tell you more after the highlights. The Danbury Hatters come in with a record of 10-8, 8-7 in the FCAC. They take on the Staples Wreckers at 10-9, 9-6 in the conference. Set at the belt, he brings it home. Big bouncer to the right side. Kasparius has it get past him. Rounding third and coming on is Cerno without a throw. To third goes Hallis. 1-0 Hatters. Yokoy well in on the grass at first. Line drive, that's going to be a base hit. Here's one run, rounding third and holding right there. It'll be cut off in the infield. Diving back to second, Hernandez, an RBI single for Mike Hallis, scoring Jacobellis, 2-0 Danbury. I think a lot of people would thank Sean Saylor. I know I have many times, and chances are he is listening and watching. The payoff, it's low, ball 4, 3-0. However, I see someone else with a bat, and that's outside, ball 4, bases loaded. Now the set, and the 3-0. A called strike at the knees, and Pooley will have to go back and apologize to the home plate umpire. 3-1. 3 balls, 1 strike. 3-0 ball game. Here it comes. Pulled to the left side. They'll play it at third. Go to second and get the out there. The throw to first will not be in time, so back to third will go Kusa, the pinch runner. Retired Arciola, a run in. It's a 3-1 ball game. A 3-1 ball game. Breaking ball. Called. Strike 3. To the playoffs go the Danbury Hatters. Congratulations to the Danbury Hatters as they advance to the playoffs in what turned into an outstanding baseball game. The final score, Danbury 3 and Staples 1. And again, the Hatters advance now with the 3-1 victory. They move on. They will play at Darien Friday at 4. That is a game that you will be able to see right here on the HAN network. The other games will be number 7 Ward taking on number 2 Greenwich. Number 5 Ridgefield will be at number 4 Norwalk. Those are 4 o'clock games. And Trumbull, the 3 seed, will host number 6 St. Joseph. That's 7 o'clock tomorrow night at Trumbull High School. But again, we will have Darien, Danbury, 4 o'clock tomorrow. Other scores from yesterday, St. Joseph shut out Trinity Catholic 6-0 as Joe Zanchetti improved to 5-0 with a 4-hitter and struck out 9. New Canaan over Greenwich 7-1. Ludlow finishes off McMahon 4-3 in 8 innings. Ridgefield shut out Staples 6-0. Wilton got a 4-3 win over Norwalk, and Bunnell beat Trumbull 11-5. To softball now, St. Joseph over Trinity Catholic 8-0 as Giovanna Hillman had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Wilton over Norwalk 6-5 and 8. Ridgefield 5, Stamford 3. Darien grabbed the 10-9 win over Trumbull. Danbury beat Staples 5-3. It was Ludlow over McMahon, and New Canaan doubled up Greenwich. So the quarterfinals are set in softball as well, with number 8 Danbury at number 1 St. Joseph. That's 4 o'clock. It's Ward hosting Stamford in the 3-6 matchup. That's 4 o'clock as well. Both games tomorrow. And number 5 Darien at number 4 Trumbull at 4. Again, that's tomorrow. Saturday, Ludlow and West Hill meet in the 7-2 matchup at 1 o'clock in Stamford. Let's move over to boys lacrosse now. 2 scores from yesterday. Ludlow beat Ward 15-2, Staples 16, McMahon 3. Quarterfinals are set there as well. Number 5 Greenwich will be at number 4 Staples at noon. This is on Saturday. Ludlow, the 7 seed, will visit Ridgefield at noon Saturday. Top seeded Darien will host St. Joseph at 1 o'clock, and Wilton, the 6 seed, will go to New Canaan. That time has not been determined for a start time yet, but it will be our game on the HAN network. Move over to girls lacrosse. St. Joseph over Amity 13-8. Girls quarterfinals start tomorrow. Now, make sure that you can grab all the details you need on the playoffs. All of it can be found at fcac.net. And to learn a lot more about our game schedule, please check out HAN.network. We have all the details on both fcac.net and HAN.network to get you through and get you ready for all of the playoffs, because of course we've got the quarterfinals. We'll have that Darien-Danbury game tomorrow, Wilton-New Canaan on Saturday, the baseball semis on Monday, the boys lacrosse semis on Tuesday, the baseball championship Wednesday, and then the boys and girls lacrosse finals next Thursday. And again, the details are all online. All right, over to FCAC girls tennis quarterfinals now. They started yesterday, and Darien shut out Trumbull 7-0. Staples a 6-1 win over Wilton. New Canaan beat Wilton 6-1 as Caroline Gordon outlasted Emily Simmons in the number 1 versus number 1 6-4-6-4. And it was Greenwich over Ludlow 5-2. Other girls' tennis scores. There were just 2 of them. St. Joseph over Trinity Catholic 7-0 and Norwalk a 7-0 win over Abbott Tech. From boys' tennis, it was Danbury beating Brookfield 4-3. From boys' golf, a 7-stroke win for Staples over Danbury at Longshore. Greenwich beat New Canaan by 2 at the Griffith E. Harris. It was Wilton shooting a 171, Central forfeited. That was at Fairchild Wheeler. And Trumbull beat Norwalk and McMahon at Tashua Knolls. From girls golf, New Canaan beat Danbury at Country Club of New Canaan. And from boys volleyball, it was Darien beating Greenwich 3-1, New Canaan 3, St. Joseph 0, Ridgefield over Fairfield 3-0. So again, get over to HAN.network for all the details on the playoffs, our whole broadcast schedule. There's a lot to look at and a lot to think about over the next week and change as we get ready to crown a whole lot of champions. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. Kate, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, getting back to a little more news today, Trumbull High School's senior class will be participating in a mock car crash sponsored by the Students Against Destructive Decisions Club this Friday. The event is designed to illustrate the effects that distracted and impaired driving has. In order for the simulation to be as realistic as possible, actual Trumbull fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars will arrive on scene with lights and sirens, and they will simulate an extrication of the vehicle. The student actors who will be in costume with fake injuries and blood will be placed in pre-wrecked cars that will be put in the student parking lot. All protocols that first responders deliver will be part of that demonstration. This will be Trumbull High School's first mock car crash in 13 years. It will be made as realistic as possible to make an impact on the senior class. Residents should know that on the evening of Thursday, tonight, May 19th, the cars will be delivered to the high school and will be placed on the front lawn. So if you see those, don't be alarmed. It's part of the mock car crash. And in other news, the second annual stand-up paddleboard race to Charles Island in Milford is scheduled for June 19th. The race is hosted by Scoot and Paddle and Surfrider CT, and all proceeds will be going to local charities. The event takes place at Walnut Beach from 8 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. Races include a 5-mile elite race, the Charles Island Challenge, a 2-mile recreational race, and a 5-mile youth race. Stand-up paddleboards, kayaks, outrigger canoes, and surf skis are welcome. Surfrider Foundation is a grassroots nonprofit environmental organization dedicated to clearing the oceans and protecting waterways since 1984. There's much more on that event at milfordmirror.com. And for the second time in 3 years, Trumbull EMS took home the Governor's Award at a ceremony in Hartford on Monday in recognition that it is the state's leading organization in providing emergency services. Trumbull EMS Chief Joe Lasella said, "We're a leader among Connecticut agencies because of the town's commitment to our service and what our department can do for residents in town." Lasella went on to say that our volunteers work over 1,000 hours a year to ensure public safety, and our staff members put in even more time. There's much more on that award at trumbulltimes.com. But we're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, our editorial director John Kovach joins me, and we're going to take a look at the front pages of our HAN papers this week, coming up after this.
I think what makes ONS special is that it has everything that makes academic medicine great. We have the fellowship-trained specialists, but we still bring the style and type of medicine that's indicative of a community practice.
We are all trained in our area of interest and expertise, so our patients see a doctor who specializes in their particular injury.
I did have 2 consults with major New York City hospitals, but I just felt that the care was best here. I was treated like a rock star. The surgery exceeded any expectations that I had.
Mosquitoes, ticks, gone. Guaranteed. That's what Mosquito Squad guarantees as America's most trusted mosquito and tick control company. Locally owned and operated, over 90,000 homes have been protected by Mosquito Squad using their dual protection method for season-long protection, which includes barrier spray service for eliminating mosquitoes and adult ticks, as well as supplemental programs to increase tick control. They use only USDA organic options, which are safe and non-toxic. Contact them today at www.squadctny.com or 203-893-4309. Mosquito Squad. No bugs, no bites, no kidding.
Alberto Londano Professional Painting, Wallpapering, and Carpentry has been serving Fairfield County for over 20 years. Based in Norwalk, Alberto takes pride in his work by offering you only the best quality service and products. Call Alberto today to get a free estimate and be one step closer to a new and exciting home makeover. 203-866-9635. Do you need help reaching or maintaining your fitness goals? For over 20 years, Mike Pernice has tailored his time and expertise to clients on both coasts whose schedules demand flexibility and accountability. Mike is a certified lifestyle manager and has been called upon to help his clients eliminate negative behaviors such as coping with stress, improving their time management, setting realistic life goals, and cutting down compulsive behavior. If you're ready to start working toward a more energetic, productive, and healthier you, call Mike Pernice.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Welcome back to this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, joined now by Editorial Director John Kovach to take a look at our front pages this week. John?
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. What are you looking at?
I am looking at the Stratford Star. Resignation stories generally tend to get some attention, but no surprise here as Joe Gresco has resigned from the town council, but that is so he can devote his attention to the General Assembly, where he succeeded the person for whom he worked, the late Terry Backer up in Hartford. The Freedom of Information Commission upholding its decision about police and their having to disclose information on the use of drones, and always an inspiring story in Stratford, and that's the continuing education graduation. Nice photo of that from Melvin Mason on the front page.
That's great. All right, well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Richfield Press, and obviously, as you heard Rob talking about before, playoffs in HD starting this Friday, FCAC playoffs, so everyone got to be sure to check that out. And a nice picture of the Boy Scout Cubmobile event Sunday on Governor Street. Very cool, and a lot of excitement going on there.
I want to go do that now.
I know. It looks like a lot of fun. Some great photos by Brian Hafele, as well as an ongoing bridge project on Route 35 creating traffic snarls. We've been hearing about this for a long time, so it's been an ongoing process. And some sad news that the farmers market in Ridgefield is no more. After 3 years of offering fresh fruits and vegetables and other items, it is not happening anymore.
That is surprising for a town like Ridgefield. Yeah. Just to the south in New Canaan, the town council is divided on a charter issue that has been the subject of discussion since long before I was there, and I was there almost 20 years ago. And that is, should the first selectman also automatically be chairman of the Board of Finance? That will be an interesting debate going forward. The school district is going to renovate its central office, which is in a building that they have occupied for some time, and a speech to the New Canaan Community Foundation by UConn President Susan Herbst talking about philanthropy.
All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Milford Mirror this week. Story by Jill Dion on the Kingdom Life Christian Church, which has a huge presence in Milford now, but it's celebrating 25 years. It started at the Stratford Ramada and now has a big chunk of the area in Devon.
That is a huge church.
It's become quite large. So interesting story there by Jill. And I'm sure many taxpayers in Milford are happy because taxes will be going down after the budget passes. And Laurelton Hall dedicating a new $2 million field. So exciting news there.
In Lewisboro, a great picture of the Gap Brothers, who are ultra-Orthodox singers, and they are going to perform at a benefit for Shabbat of Bedford. A challenger won a seat on the Board of Education, and the Katona Art Center is trying to fit in. It's moved into town. Some of the neighbors, as neighbors are, little riled up maybe. I don't know if that's the way to say it, but there's a lot of questions being asked, and the Katona Art Center responds to those on page 1 of the Lewisboro Ledger.
All right, John.
Hey.
Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Shelton Herald. Something that we spoke about on Coffee Break and CT Pulse this week was the family of Edmund Conklin, who died a few months back in a car crash on Bridgeport Avenue. They want the teen to get an honorary diploma at graduation. However, the Board of Education has said they'll give it out at an awards dinner, but not at graduation. It's become this big battle. There's thousands of signatures on an online petition supporting that it be given at graduation. So it's really become, like so often happens in Shelton, something that could have been solved becomes a huge battle.
And it always seems to involve the Board of Ed in Shelton, that there's some decision that could have been simple that becomes, it really goes viral on the internet and becomes a national story.
Right. And outspoken resident, Ron Pavlovsik, who often comes to town meetings to voice his opinion, is the only person who has come forward in Shelton to support a huge development proposal called Shelter Ridge. So that's interesting.
Weston has learned that it will lose nearly $700,000 in state aid in the new budget. On a better note, an inspiring photo of Miguel Tellez practicing the long jump, and these are the Special Olympics time trials, and Weston has named Margaret Wurtenberg its Citizen of the Year.
Oh, All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Trumbull Times. Story we just spoke about on Coffee Break was the Trumbull EMS earning the Governor's Award for the second time in 3 years. So congratulations to them. Their chief, Joe Lasella, he used to be at Echo Hose in Shelton. Just great, really involved in the community. So congrats to them. Also, the Ride Against Child Abuse takes off this weekend, May 22nd. Ride to support the Center for Family Justice. We'll ride through Bridgeport, Trumbull, Monroe, and Reading. So if you have a motorcycle, definitely check that out. It's a great cause. And report says that Trumbull police stopped minority drivers 38% of the time. We did see kind of those studies coming out about state police potentially about police and how if they targeted minority drivers. So and interesting report there.
I think those studies are just the jump off point for further discussion. In Easton, a number of things happening with the Mill River and the South Park project. This is the former prayer center. It abuts the Mill River, which is a very important brown trout, native brown trout stream. There's another proposal to protect it at a website. There are also some petitions. Meanwhile, P&Z is studying the potential use of that site for senior housing. Also, United Illuminating suspending tree work in Easton. That as they try to cut down traffic control costs, it costs them to have the off-duty police officers directing traffic at those. And youngsters showing off their creativity, inventing an artificial leg and a bat lock at the Helen Keller Invention Fair.
All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Wilton Bulletin. State cuts proposed for education funding not as deep as feared. So I guess that's some better news for Wilton and some of the communities concerned about that. And Relay for Life just recently in Wilton. It's kind of the season for Relay for Life. We're going to be seeing that happen a lot more. Always a great event. And again, watch the FCX live in HD on HAN. Can't say that enough.
No.
Starting this Friday and all next week.
It's going to be a lot of fun. In Darien, senior prom was held, and a panoramic shot of a number of the attendees there. And this is a couple that I came to know when I worked in Darien, Ron and Nancy Bucell. Ron was a detective there. They are both retiring. It's going to be a big loss. He's a great guy, and I really wish him well in retirement. Also a hearing on some redevelopment that's proposed in Norotan Heights.
All right, well, I'm taking a look at the Reading pilot. Reading students debate at nuclear disarmament conference. Very cool there, so good for them. Want to read more of that story. And very interesting, off Limekiln Road in Reading, a Revolutionary War encampment may be most significant left in the U.S.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool, and some great photos there. And a Readingite to host free self-defense course for women. Very cool.
In Monroe, the Republicans have tapped J.P. Sredzinski for another term in the 112th District, and it's time to get ready for the Race for Chase fun run. Chase, one of the victims at Sandy Hook, and this event will be held on June 5th. Kate, what's in Arts and Leisure this week?
Well, just taking a quick look at our Arts and Leisure section, something we talked about on HAN Arts and Leisure, Sally and Steve, a weekend of independent film in Ridgefield's first film festival. That starts tomorrow, Friday, May 20th, so very cool. There's obviously a lot more great stuff in this week's Arts and Leisure as well. What's coming up on Yankee Fisherman at 1 o'clock?
We are going to talk to the publisher of the Fisherman magazine. If you've been in any type of tackle shop, you have seen it. The Fisherman's celebrating its 50th anniversary this month. We're also going to get you ready for World Fish Migration Day, which is Saturday.
Cool. All right. And of course, HAN Arts and Leisure coming up at 2. The Real Dad's going to be here to talk movies, and then there's also a special guest, so be sure to check that out. Well, there's no game today, which is unusual.
I know.
But it's going to be busy starting tomorrow. And we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break. We'll be back tomorrow at 11.